welcome to the 16th video in the multi-part series on why and how to cool down your twin cam and Milwaukee 8 engine. This is the second to last video. The last video is going to be a summary. This video is actually a bonus video. It's not really about how to cool down your twin cam or Milwaukee 8 engine. It's how to reduce felt heat in your twin cam and Milwaukee 8 bike. The first thing we already mentioned is to get rid of the cat, remove the cat. Removing the cat will get rid of a lot of the heat that is radiating out to the passenger and rider right side. So removing the cat is one big way to get rid of felt heat. Another way to reduce felt heat is to use rider passenger floorboard extensions. And they just push the floorboard out an inch, inch and a quarter from the engine, and it's amazing how much more comfortable that is, not only for a foot position, but also getting your foot away from the exhaust, away from the primary. So floorboard extensions for the rider. Also floorboard extensions for the passenger. The FB16s give the passenger a lot of different options for foot placement, and including getting them out away from the bike a little bit further. There are two more options for reducing felt heat. The first one is using exhaust wrap around the headers beneath the heat shields. Most people do it beneath the heat shields. You don't have to even use the heat shields if you don't want, but when you wrap that exhaust with a good heat wrap, then it keeps the heat in the exhaust and going out the tailpipe rather than, and not near as much of it radiates out to the rider and the passenger. One thing to note, if you do use exhaust wrap, you don't want to wash your bike and then put it away, because that exhaust will stay wet and it will start corroding the headers. A lot of people are down on using exhaust wrap because they say it will corrode the headers. I've had exhaust wrap on my Sporty for, this is 2020, for 8 years with the stock headers, exhaust wrap around it. First of all, the exhaust wrap still looks really good. Second of all, I've had no corrosion, because if I do wash it, if it does get wet, I keep riding till it's dried out before I park it. And then you don't have the wet exhaust wrap keeping that moisture on the metal, starting it to corroding. So that's another way to reduce the felt heat, is using an exhaust wrap. And yes, there is enough room underneath the headers to wrap the exhaust wrap and then put your heat shield back on it. A lot of people do that, especially on the baggers and the trikes. Okay, the last way is something that you can do, but don't do it until you have your temperatures down where you want. So get your temperatures down so that on a hot day when you're running hard, the oil's not over 230, the engine temperature on a twin cam is not over 230, on an M8 it's not over 260. Once you have that stuff wired, then this last strategy can be used without making things worse. And it is a counterintuitive strategy, but we actually learned about it, Mary and I learned about it 2 or 3 years ago, and we've been using it and it works amazingly well. And that is on bikes that have lower fairings, not like this one, but on bikes that have lower fairings, close the vent on the right side. The reason it's counterintuitive, you think the more wind blowing past you, the better. But as that wind is going through the vent, it's going past the engine and picking up all that heat and swirling around all that hot air and coming up your right side. I feel it right up here. Mary feels it all up her leg, and up it gets caught and goes up to the backrest. And so by closing that vent, you don't have near as much air traveling along the right side of the bike and pulling up and hitting the passenger and the rider. You also don't have near as much air going along the right side of the engine to cool it off. So when you do close that vent, you are going to reduce the felt heat, and you're going to raise your temperature a little bit, 5, maybe even 10 degrees in engine temperature and oil temp. But if you're down at 210, 220, then it might take you up to 220, 230, or if you're at 230, it might take you up to 240. You're still okay at 240. 230 is your target, because you know that gives you a little bit of cushion. So closing that right vent really reduces the amount of felt heat you have. But don't do that if your bike is already running 270, 280, 290, then you close the vent and you're making a bad situation much worse. So those are some tips on reducing felt heat for the rider and the passenger. If you all like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please consider subscribing. We'd appreciate it. Hit the notification bell so you know when we come out with another video. Share the video with your friends. They may like it, may enjoy it, may find something useful in it, and you all ride safe out there.